child. And we would encourage Mr. Kennedy to think about that.
A man wanted for abducting an infant at knife point in Danville has possibly been sighted in Seven Springs, North Carolina. Police say this man, 51-year-old Carl Ray Kennedy, took his daughter Emma Grace Kennedy from her mother at the Quick Stop on Riverside Drive last night in Danville. Kennedy is a registered sex offender in North Carolina. He's 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighs 170 pounds, has green eyes and short gray hair. Police say he has a number of distinct tattoos, including a skull on his left and right forearms and an eye tattoo on the back of his right hand. Officers say he may be traveling in a gold Suzuki four-door Forenzo with a North Carolina license plate reading EKZ 5093. It's also believed he may be heading to Oak Island, North Carolina. State police say the baby is in extreme danger. Our Eleanor Buckley has been following this story all day and spoke with the baby's mom.
That was simply amazing. She's the best thing that I've ever done.
Kristen Murphy's life has fallen to pieces since her baby girl was ripped away from her Sunday evening by Emma's father and criminal, Carl Kennedy.
He's extremely dangerous because he doesn't have anything left to lose.
Murphy agreed to meet with her baby's father, Carl Kennedy, about visitation rights, but things quickly escalated to him pulling a knife on her.
He told me I was going to get in the car with him. He goes in the back seat, grabs our daughter out of her car seat, puts her in his car, and tells me to get in. And I told him absolutely not, I wasn't going to get in. And he said, well, you'll never see your daughter again. And he took off with my baby.
And now Murphy is more than worried. She knows just how dangerous Kennedy is.
Do I think he will physically harm her? Yes, I absolutely do.
She also tells us she thinks Kennedy is being helped by others and knows he will do whatever it takes to get back at her, including abducting their 7-month-old baby.
I think ultimately I'm Carl's favorite possession. Yeah, he's had me for so long, beating me and whatever, and I just sat there and took it. And now he doesn't have that power over me, and he's using the one thing that I would kill for.
In Danville, Eleanor Buckley, WFXR News.
And WFXR has learned that Emma Grace used to live with her aunt in Virginia Beach. Amy Metzger spoke with our sister station. She says Emma's father was upset after losing a custody battle 2 weeks prior. Now the family is just concerned for her safety.
I'm concerned for Emma's safety. This is a person who has no financial means to take care of a baby. He does not have health or any mental stability to take care of a baby. My worst fear is that she's just on the side of the road somewhere or left alone in an unknown place and abandoned.
And now here's another look at Carl Kennedy, wanted for abducting 7-month-old Emma Grace. He's 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighs 170 pounds, has green eyes and short gray hair. Police say he has a number of distinct tattoos, including a skull on his left and right forearms and an eye tattoo on the back of his right hand.
Struggle ensued between one of the homeowners or the home residents and the person that brandished a firearm. One shot was fired inside the house, fatally striking the female that was later transported down to Lewis Gale.
In Roanoke, police are now searching for another suspect in connection to a homicide that took place back in May. Andrew Arthur Jeffers is wanted for a possible connection to that homicide that happened in the 5200 block of Overland Drive back on May 19th. Officers are also searching for Shambi Marie Walker. She is wanted for second-degree murder. Both are wanted by police after 35-year-old Amber Ross was shot and killed during a reported robbery. Jeffers is being charged with second-degree robbery and second-degree burglary with the intent to commit robbery. He's described as a white man, 6 foot 4 inches tall, weighing 285 pounds. He has blue eyes and shaved blonde hair. If you have any information, please call the Roanoke County Police Department, and that number is on your screen. The Lynchburg Police Department is searching for 2 suspects wanted in a burglary investigation. Officers say it happened in the 100 block of Newtown Road this afternoon. 5 suspects wearing dark clothing were reportedly trying to kick in the door of the home. They then took off running toward Millstone Road, but authorities were able to locate 3 of them. If you have any information, you are asked to call Lynchburg Crime Stoppers. Multiple people are being charged after a fight broke out at the Halifax County High School graduation in May. According to South Boston Police, Moses Hendren was arrested yesterday for disorderly conduct, assault, and battery. He is currently being held at the Halifax Adult Detention Center. 4 others, including a juvenile, are also wanted on multiple charges for the fight.
Breaking news is happening in Roanoke tonight. Police are trying to negotiate with the person who sparked a standoff inside the Extended Stay America Hotel on Frontage Road. Some guests were sent packing, told to leave for their own safety. Thanks for joining us first at 10 tonight. I'm Bill Waddell. Tactical teams have been there for several hours, and we've been bringing you live updates online. WFXR's Brooke Williams is there live for us tonight. Brooke, what are police telling you right now?
That's right, Bill. As you mentioned, this has been going on for several hours. It began around 6 o'clock, and police are responding to what they believe is an armed standoff. I'm joined by Captain Stephen Cates. And Captain Cates, what can you tell us about how this situation unfolded?
Well, we had officers on scene investigating an unrelated incident when they encountered a situation involving the individual that's barricaded himself in the room, and they've been dealing with it since then. Shortly after the initial encounter, officers heard what they believed to be a gunshot from inside the room, and they pulled back to a point of safety and have notified the tactical response team, and they've been communicating with him from there.
And I know negotiations are underway, and you have made successful contact. What can you tell us about the progress of those negotiations?
Well, so far it's progressing. He is continuing to communicate with us through various means, and that's one of the things that we like to do is maintain the contact with them, and hopefully here before too long we'll have a successful resolution.
And hotel guests were moved as a precaution from that immediate area to other parts of the hotel, I understand?
Yes, ma'am. For safety purposes, the rooms immediately around the room where this individual is were evacuated, and the hotel staff was very gracious with their guests and made other accommodations for them.
Now, we saw an ambulance come and pull up here on Frontage Road a little while ago. Is that ambulance on standby? What can you tell us? Are there any injuries at this point?
No injuries that we're currently aware of. However, when we have a situation like this, we do get in touch with Roanoke Fire EMS and have a crew on standby just for an assessment to make sure everybody's okay. And in the event something were to happen, we'd be able to respond immediately.
And has this individual indicated why he's not coming out of the room?
I don't have that information at this point.
And anything that you want the public to know in terms of avoiding this area?
At this point, we just ask for safety's sake just to avoid the area of Frontage Road adjacent to the Extended Stay Hotel until we can get this resolved.
All right, thank you very much, Captain Cates, for that information. We're going to stay here on scene as this situation unfolds and provide you the latest updates. Live and local in Roanoke, Brooke Williams, WFXR News.
Brooke, we'll check back in with you in about half an hour. Thank you. More developing news tonight. A man is hurt after a shooting near Valley View Boulevard. Roanoke police confirming officers were called out around 6:30 tonight. They tell us this is not connected to the standoff at the hotel. So far, there's no word on the victim's condition or if any suspects have been tracked down. New at 10, the city of Danville could be trying its luck on a new casino. The city council will meet Thursday to consider a resolution to support legislation that would make it possible. If it passes the General Assembly, there would be a referendum vote in November that would allow construction of a future casino in Danville, Bristol, or another city. A study showed that if approved, a project like this could result in nearly 7,000 jobs in Danville within the next 10 years.
I think when you look at the numbers, this is the most significant economic development opportunity that Danville's had in my lifetime. You talk about nearly 7,000 jobs and over $1 billion in spending that would go into our local economy. And I think that we owe it to the people of Danville to give them the opportunity to decide if they want to support that.
They would have to change state laws to make this happen. The meeting to consider a resolution like this will be held Thursday at 7.
A Christiansburg mom behind bars tonight just a week after her 2-year-old son is found dead. Police say the death uncovered a history of physical and sexual abuse. Now 25-year-old Kayla Thomas is facing multiple charges, including forcible sodomy, object penetration, child pornography, and child neglect. She is being held without bond at the Western Virginia Regional Jail. Her boyfriend, Mackenzie Hellman, also locked up tonight. He is being charged with child abuse after officers responded to the 400 block of Zinc Lane on Friday night to find Thomas's baby unresponsive. The baby died on Sunday, and Hellman's story didn't line up to police, and the Christiansburg Police Department is holding a press conference tomorrow about this case. Our Sophia Borelli will be there and bring us the latest developments. Liberty University thrown into the national spotlight. The Wall Street Journal reporting that Michael Cohen paid thousands of dollars to a Liberty University employee to try and sway online polls in favor of then presidential candidate Donald Trump.
Now, the paper says Cohen paid $12,000 to John Gager. Now, he's the owner of Redfinch Solutions and also works as Chief Information Officer at Liberty. Cohen posting on Twitter that what he did was at the direction of and for the sole benefit of President Donald Trump. He went on to say, "I truly regret my blind loyalty to a man who doesn't deserve it." And WFXR's Eric Pointer has been digging deeper into this story all night.
And Eric, what are Liberty University officials and students saying about all of this?
So the university released a statement that said, in part, they allow their employees to engage in business that doesn't interfere with their employment. Now, the statement does not directly address these most recent allegations. And I talked to some students off campus, and their reactions varied. There were some students that said, you know, he's innocent until he's proven guilty. But there are others that said the unethical behavior like that makes their school look bad. Allegations surfaced Thursday that President Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, paid the business Redfinch Solutions, LLC, to manipulate online polls in Trump's favor back in 2015. The business is owned by John Gager, who is also an employee at Liberty University. WFXR News looked up the business records and found an address and went there for a response. But we did not get an answer. The news is something that Liberty University students find unsettling.
We claim to be a Christian university, and that's really important to us, and we're founded in the ethics of Christ, and our students really try hard to walk the walk that Jesus Christ did. But if people in leadership at our school aren't showing that kind of ethical behavior, I think it can be, I don't know, it can be very it can be a misconception and a misperception of the representation of our school and what we're trying to, tell people.
When asked about the incident, the university released a statement that read, in part, John Gager is one example among many outstanding LU employees who have made great contributions in their official roles and also enjoyed success as independent entrepreneurs, allowing them to enhance their capabilities and generate more revenue for their families while allowing the university to retain them on our team. Now, we've left several messages for the Redfinch Solutions, and at this time, our requests have gone unanswered. In the newsroom, Eric Pointer, WFXR News.
Eric, thank you. Keep us updated.
One person is dead after a crash during the snowy afternoon commute. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office telling us a person in a car was pinned under a tractor trailer, and that person died. The wreck happened right around 3 this afternoon on Route 460 in Elliston. The victim's name has not yet been released.
A man is dead after a single car crash Wednesday night on Route 460. It happened right near the Bedford County line. Virginia State Police say 40-year-old Jason Lutz was driving on Route 460 when his car reportedly ran off the road, hit a guardrail, and then overturned. The car came to a stop on its wheels right while it was partially on top of the guardrail, and Lutz died at the scene. Troopers say he was not wearing a seatbelt.
One Rocky Mount furniture store that sells products to local churches has closed up shop. And customers are telling WFXR's Brooke Williams they're now out thousands of dollars after prepaying for their orders. Brooke joins us live in the studio tonight. Brooke, you've been working all day to get some answers. How much money are we talking about?
Bill, we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. Customers tell us they paid by pre-ordering furniture products they haven't received. One Cave Spring Church placed an order back in August, and that pastor tells me his church still hasn't received that order.
$5,098.50. That's how much Myron Atkinson says he paid for this chair. He was supposed to receive 150 chairs for that price, but nearly 6 months later, this sample chair is the only thing he says he has to show for the purchase.
This is a very beautiful chair. Sorry, made me laugh.
All Atkinson can do is laugh at the very serious situation. Atkinson planned to buy new chairs for the church's 80th anniversary this past September, but instead, these 30-year-old chairs have yet to be replaced.
I'd heard about the location where we purchased the chair, and it was local company, and so we wanted to support local.
That company is Church Furniture Store in Rocky Mount, which closed last week. Atkinson has been calling church members who donated their own money for the chairs to give them the news.
We had couples that were on Social Security with fixed incomes giving, and we had single individuals giving.
Atkinson says he last communicated with the business last Thursday. Since then, he has not heard back. Neither did we. We first met with the owner, Sam Rakes, back in October. Rakes said he thought new tariffs would benefit his business.
The quality and the ship time and the production will be a whole lot better.
Rakes is much harder to get a hold of now. We called and left several messages for the Rakes for this story. When we didn't hear back, we drove to Church Furniture Store. We knocked and waited, but despite seeing several people inside the building, no one answered the door. And WFXR learned that Atkinson and his church are not alone. The Better Business Bureau has received several complaints just in the past couple of weeks about the store. And one vendor we spoke with said he's paid $27,000 for products yet to be delivered. Atkinson says he's had to lean on his faith to help him through this, and he feels for his congregation.
Because we are not a huge church, we don't have lots of money sitting around, and I knew that it was a sacrifice that people gave, and that really hurt a lot.
He still holds on to hope that he will get the chairs he ordered, and that his congregation will get what they paid for. And again, we tried reaching out to Sam Rakes, the president of Church Furniture Store, but did not hear back. Atkinson tells me he's trying to figure out a payment plan with another Church Furniture Store to see if somehow he can still get his congregation those new chairs. Live in the studio, Brooke Williams, WFXR News.
Brooke, is there anything that these churches that are out of money, I mean, what are the options? What can they do now?
Well, Bill, they can file a complaint with the Virginia Attorney General office. A spokesperson with that office tells me they have received 2 complaints so far.
All right, Brooke, keep us posted. We know you'll have updates on our WFXR News app as well. Now to Radford, our team sitting down with the department's first ever female interim chief of police. Angie Fry was tapped to lead the department on January 1st as Don Goodman stepped down. Fry has been with the department 31 years. She started out as a dispatcher, decided she wanted to be a police officer, and then rose through the ranks. She is the only female to hold a rank at the Radford City Police Department.
Some people still perceive it as men's world, but it's not. Females can be very successful in law enforcement.
Fry hopes to ultimately become the official chief of police. She says it's been a dream of hers since she joined the department.
A group of lawmakers want to raise the minimum wage in Virginia to $15 an hour by 2021. But that's not sitting well with some small business owners. That includes folks at Fort Chiswell Animal Park already struggling to pay the bills without hiking their rates.
So we were just alerted today by email that they were going to vote on this tomorrow. We hadn't heard that from anybody yet, and so it really shocked us. We know from talking to other friends that are small business owners that a lot of them live like we do. They live literally from the bank, out of the bank. So in the winter, we borrow all winter. And then when we open for spring, we're already behind. And we work all summer to pay back what we owe. And then in the winter, it starts again. Own one is coming out of the house. We've tried really hard to keep our admission for years where it's at. It's $12 for adults and $10 for kids. And we already have customers that tell us, you know, we would visit more often if your price wasn't 10 and 12. We would come more times a year. We even have a recent review on TripAdvisor that says this, that we would visit more often. We're local, we'd come more if the price was lower. So if we had to go up, we think we would lose a lot of business.
Now, many of you commenting on this story on our WFXR News page. One person saying, Rick Henderson, saying right there that the minimum wage is not made for a career, it's made for students. Nancy Ann asked what happens to all the workers who have worked for some years and have gotten maybe $10 or $11 an hour. Do they get an automatic raise? Now, Jessica Parnell said, what happens when inflation occurs and people on Social Security are still drawing their fixed incomes? If you'd like to join the conversation, just visit our website at virginiafirst.com. We'd love to hear what you have to say.
Much more to come right here at 10 o'clock. Hardworking hero. A community is honoring the life of a man that dedicated himself to his community. What his fellow firefighters are saying today.
And a terrible accident caught on camera, sparking new conversations about child seat safety. Well, something like this could happen to you.
We're going to build a powerful steel barrier. They didn't want to use concrete. I said, okay, I'll use steel. It's stronger.
Battle at the borderline. President Donald Trump visiting the southern border in Texas today, meeting with border agents in a room filled with confiscated drugs and guns. This government shutdown taking its toll on people on both sides of the border. Thanks for joining us first to 10 tonight. I'm Bill Waddell. Stacey Spivey has the evening off. One woman in Salem understands this issue on a first-hand basis. WFXR's Brooke Williams spoke with an immigration attorney in Salem. Brooke, the big picture conversation is quite personal for her.
That's right, Bill. Her mom's from South Africa, her dad is from Jamaica, and her mom's journey helped inspire her career path. And Rachel Thompson tells me that one of the most important things in fighting for immigrants is that you're honest and transparent with them. And she says one of the challenges of her job is that immigration laws and policies are frequently changing.
A lot of questions that I get as an immigration attorney is, why don't they come here legally? And it's because the legal system's broken.
Rachel Thompson has personal ties to immigration. Her parents are both immigrants, and Thompson still remembers attending her mother's naturalization ceremony.
And that was really a defining moment for me, because I realized that, wow, she's from another country and she came here and had such an incredible journey.
Thompson says her mother escaped apartheid in South Africa.
So I was just really fascinated about how she came here, why she came here, and really wanted to help those who wanted to immigrate to the United States.
Thompson studied law at Liberty University and practices at the same law firm where she was once an intern. But the job comes with its challenges, including the government shutdown.
A case I had scheduled for tomorrow was supposed to go. They were supposed to be approved and get their green cards, or at least be on that track. And unfortunately, it's going to get set out for a day to be determined.
Thompson says she feels that the focus on a border wall is misplaced, noting that many people come to the country on legal visas, but overstay. She would like to see reform within the immigration system.
If my mom wanted to petition for her brother to come here to the United States, it would take over 13 years. So to do it the lawful way, to do it the legal way, it's so hard to do it that way.
Though the job has its difficulties, Thompson vows to continue to fight for those seeking freedom in a new home country.
And Bill, one of the things Thompson tells me she's looking forward to is returning to her alma mater, Liberty University, where she will be teaching in another area she specializes in, adoption law. Live and local in Salem, Brooke Williams, WFXR News.
Brooke, thank you. A story putting it all in perspective. And Rachel tells us she'll be teaching at Liberty this spring. A favorite hiking trail in Giles County closed right now because of the federal government shutdown. These are the signs and burials you'll see if you try to go to the Cascades. WFXR Sophia Borelli stopped by one local business where workers are left wondering when things might get back to normal.
The sound of flowing water and rustling of leaves are the only sounds you will hear at what is known to be a popular hiking trail in Southwest Virginia.
Of course, it's slowed down. It's the winter season. We're a summer thriving business, but whenever the winter hits, people like to go up to the Cascades and see it frozen.
Chelsea Warner works down the street at Tangent Outfitters. She says business has taken an even bigger hit because of the government shutdown.
Go see it shut down and then just leave and not think anything about coming by here.
She says usually the winters are their slow season, but they are not getting any bonus from the hikers they would normally see.
It's not a huge hit. We still have our loyal customers, our local customers that, you know, they're in here every day.
Even though this trail is closed because of the government shutdown, locals here say that there are many more trails to enjoy and explore in Giles County.
Giles County is full of hiking attractions. You just have to know where to look. When hikers do come in here and they're a little discouraged because it was closed, I send them to other hiking locations around the county.
Gates are locked, hikers are being turned away. Chelsea hopes change will blow through Washington so this trail can be open once again. Local in Pembroke, Sophia Borelli, WFXR News.
Sophia, thank you. The Forest Service says they have limited staff during this shutdown, but they are still planning to hold critical wildfire training for firefighters out west next week. Snow lovers pretty happy with this forecast. We've got a live look at Snowshoe Mountain tonight. The flurries flying around right now. They saw about a half-foot of snow over the past 24 hours on the mountain. There's a 40-inch base tonight, and they've got some more snow on the way. Chief Meteorologist John Carroll keeping a close eye on the weekend storm. But first, John, we've got a bitter cold night to get through.
Yeah, that is true. Before we get to the big snow event that is coming here over the weekend, and of course we'll be talking about that, we do have a very cold night with some bitter cold wind chills, and it's really not even that windy. That's how cold it is. So let's take a look here at our current conditions. Right now in Hot Springs, 13 degrees. These are the actual temperatures. Lewisburg, 19, 16 in Bluefield, and it's 24 in Roanoke. So you can see that it is actually well below where we should be for this time of night and this time of year. And then look at the current feels like temperatures. The winds are going at about 15 to 20 miles an hour in Hot Springs, so that's dropping it down to -5. But 19 in Lewisburg is what it feels like, and it feels like 15 in Roanoke, feels like single digits in Bluefield. As you can see, there are a few flakes flying, but not as many as we did see last night, as again, about a half a foot of snow up in through Pocahontas County last night. But here is the bigger story that people are looking forward to as far as the weekend is concerned. We are looking at snow showers in most locations as we go through Saturday, Sunday, tapering off on Monday. Sleet and an icy glaze is possible in south side and southwestern portions of Virginia. Travel will be impacted by this snow in all roadways, major and minor, and we're also having the potential for power outages, especially in areas that are going to get that sleet and or freezing rain, which is now becoming a little bit more prevalent, the freezing rain I'm talking about. Here is my evaluation of what I do believe will occur, and I think we're looking at the opportunity for about 5 to 7 inches of rain inches of snow in through portions of the Floyd County area and up around Lynchburg, but there's also some icy conditions too to talk about, and I'll get more in depth in this in the full forecast. But overall, we are looking at not a very pleasant weekend for traveling, and I think skiers, okay. Yeah. Everybody else, not so much.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a weekend. John, thank you. With the upcoming winter weather this weekend, we checked in with one driving school in Roanoke for tips on driving in winter weather. The instructor we spoke with says drivers should really be prepared before you hit the roads if you have to. He says they should travel with a blanket and small shovel just in case they get stuck. He also says drivers need to check their tires before taking off. The biggest thing he recommends is that people simply slow down.
Even if you are experienced driving in the snow, that there are many people who are not experienced in driving in snow. Don't go faster than the conditions will allow you to go. Just because the speed limit says 45 doesn't mean 45 is a safe speed to travel.
And some other advice: be careful not to warm up your car in your attached garage or an enclosed space, and always wear your seatbelt. Montgomery County's population expected to grow to 100,000 people. That's one of the highlights from the Board of Supervisors' annual State of the County address. New developments coming to the area mean more room is needed for families and kids coming into the public school system. Officials say the biggest problem for 2019 right now is budgeting.
Dealing with our growth, and it's a great problem to have, but we're going to be looking at some serious growth issues over the next year, and being able to address that.
Now, there is a new chapter for a movie theater moving forward, facing financial issues. The company that owns Frank Theater, Cinnabon and Grill in Blacksburg has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, that means the company is reorganizing its debts. Cinnabon forced to close their doors in April of 2017 after falling behind on rent by nearly $500,000. Their attorneys wouldn't say if Cinnabon will stay in Blacksburg for good.
We're negotiating with several landlords to try to, for certain locations, get better terms. Some locations we're definitely staying in. Some locations we're definitely leaving.
Cinnable posting on Facebook that they're open for business right now and that they've actually added auto reclining seats to 10 auditoriums. They say there are great things coming this year despite their owners' financial trouble. Continuing coverage tonight on the debate over how to pay for upgrades to Interstate 81. There's been a lot of talk about tolls, but Senator John Edwards just introduced legislation to add a gas tax at the wholesale level instead. Now, his office says it would be a 5% tax where companies fill tankers at distribution points. The bill claims $850 million could be raised every year with a statewide tax. The legislation calls for $300 million of that to be dedicated to Interstate 81. Now, this conversation about taxes or tolls has a lot of people talking. Take a look at what people are saying on our WFXR News Facebook page. Robert Martin saying, wasn't it just announced that the Commonwealth of Virginia has $400 million in budget surplus from last year, and the legislature is debating on what to do with it? It seems like that would be a great place to start. Lou says, where are the taxes on gasoline and diesel going? How much is being collected? It seems there's never enough. Once you give government more money, they find more things to spend it on, and then they need even more money. It just never ends. Our last comment from Isaiah saying, if y'all decide to put tolls, either put them outside of Blacksburg or outside of Troutville. People have to commute, and it's not fair to force them to pay every day. So the poll on our Facebook page asks, if there are changes to 81, would you rather see taxes or tolls? 25% of you say you'd be willing to pay taxes. 75% say you would prefer tolls. A man has turned himself in for drug possession. The Danville Police Department says 27-year-old Brandon Jones surrendered and was served with an outstanding warrant for felony possession. Police continue searching for 34-year-old Antoine Jones for a homicide investigation from December. If you have any information about his whereabouts, you're asked to call Danville Crime Stoppers. A man in Franklin County behind bars facing drug-related charges. Brian Allen Smith was pulled over by a deputy on January 1st for equipment violation on a Chevy pickup truck. The deputy used his canine to search the vehicle. They say their canine found a small plastic bag with white powder, digital scales, and needles. He is charged tonight with possession of a controlled substance. Salem Fire and EMS crews are better preparing their crews so they can help you more efficiently. Crews got their new jump bags on all rigs. These new bags are organized, allowing teams to reach and grab necessary equipment quicker. Cancer patients are getting life-saving treatment with the help of volunteer drivers. We're not talking about Uber or Lyft, but the American Cancer Society's program called Road to Recovery. WFXR's Eric Pointer spoke with a patient whose life depends on this service and that driver. He joins us live tonight, and Eric, they're looking for more volunteers.
That's right. Driving is something we do every day, but not everyone has that luxury now. And that comes with cancer patients. You know, sometimes when they're leaving their treatment, they aren't in the state to drive afterwards. So thanks to this program, they're able to sit here in the passenger side and be taken to those treatments that are much needed for them. And so the program is also looking for more drivers to give more rides.
It's been a lifesaver because there's no way I wouldn't have been able to get to my treatments or anything without these people.
Jonathan Banks was diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago. He's gone through several rounds of chemo and radiation, and he's used Road to Recovery to get there.
You would think cancer would be terrible, but it was a decent experience because I got to meet some really nice people through it.
He says the drivers in the Road to Recovery program have become like family.
So thank you so much for helping save my life. That's just all I have to say to him.
He did all the hard work.
He's relied on drivers like Susie Lawrence.
Jonathan's always fun to be around.
I try to be, you know.
Some days he didn't feel like it.
Susie lost both her parents to cancer, and now she just wants to give back.
I get the good end of the deal. I get to meet all these neat people.
The program doubled the number of rides by adding 4 drivers this year. They now have about 14 volunteers serving the Roanoke Valley, and they're looking for even more.
Each driver, anyone can make a difference, so we'd love to have more people.
Now, Anthony tells me that he has an appointment in April, and he'll find out whether or not his cancer is in remission. So we're definitely keeping him in our thoughts and prayers. Live and local in Roanoke County, Eric Pointer, WFXR News.
That's right. We wish him good luck, Eric. Thank you. And if you'd like to volunteer, we've made it easy. Look for the link to sign up on our WFXR News app. We start tonight with a winter weather alert. A snowy Thursday across our region, blanketing yards and roads. This is video sent in to us by Rebecca Scott of snow on Route 42 in Craig County. In slow motion there tonight. And we are watching the 2-hour school delays and even the closings roll in at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for joining us first at 10. I'm Bill Waddell.
And I'm Stacey Spivey. We have more wintry weather in our forecast. And our chief meteorologist, John Carroll, is joining us now live outside of our studios.
Yeah, and John, looking at some of the video also on the screen, some snow coming down on Poor Mountain. The roads covered up in the higher elevations. What's it going to look like overnight?
Yeah, well, there is the problem. The higher elevated locations are going to be colder. Right now, here in and around the lower located locations, it's about 32 degrees. Bridges and overpasses could see some black ice, so we're worried about that. There wasn't a lot of snow that came down. In fact, here's this car that has less than a half an inch on top. And you can tell just by the consistency of it that is very heavy and wet, good snowball snow, that is for certain. But overall, the opportunity for us to see problems in the roads because of the black ice on bridges and overpasses, that is a concern. Now, we do have a winter weather advisory that is in place for the region, and that goes all the way through until 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So we are expecting us to see probably 1 to 2 inches in the southern tier and about 3 inches further up through to the north. Here is a look at the radar returns, and you can see that there is still a lot of snow that is forecast to come through the area. And again, as you mentioned, Bill, the opportunity for us to see that snow accumulate and pile up in the higher elevated locations than down here in the lower elevated locations. So overall, I do believe I think we're going to be dealing with, again, nuisance type of snow, problematic driving for a bit, but the bigger issue is what we're expecting over the weekend. We are seeing rain in the forecast, but there's also some bitter cold air, and I'll sort that out for you coming up in the full weather segment.
To keep track of, John, thank you. And you can get weather alerts and breaking news updates sent straight to your phone. Just text the word local to 75327 to download our WFXR News app.
Good Monday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us here on Good Day Virginia. The time right now is 8:01. I'm Kathleen Stem.
And I'm Alexander Balakian. Hey, it's nice and toasty in studio, but not so much outside. Of course, we're bracing for what could be the biggest snowstorm of the season. So we do have team coverage out and about this morning. Meteorologist Clay Osterly has been traveling through the hard-hit areas all morning long. Sophia Borelli also live in Roanoke for us.
Now, meteorologist Jason Caterina actually outside of the station for us this morning. He's actually tracking the storm. Jason, what's the latest on this forecast?
Well, we've got the snow actually picking up a little bit here in Roanoke right now. And again, it's really a fine snowflake out here. We've seen a few little clumps coming down, but it's definitely picked up in intensity a little bit. There is a little bit of a band trying to make its way up and through parts of the region. So we expect a quick reduction in visibility. I'm going to walk over to the car here in the parking lot that's been sitting here all night. So it's nice and cold. It's a good. So we are looking at about a ½ inch of snow on top of that car. I'd say that's pretty fair for what we've got out here on the ground. Now, it's collecting on the grass here outside of the station, but really not on the road surface at all. But we've noticed it definitely collecting on the roads in parts of the region, including some of the highways and certainly a lot of the secondaries. So please use a lot of extra caution out there as we go through the morning. If you can stay off the roads, that's your best bet. Just stay at home. It looks nice and pretty outside. Have a nice hot cup of coffee, cocoa, tea, something like that, and watch the snow fly. Let the VDOT crews do their thing around the region, and just stay at home. If you can manage to stay off the roads during the day today, that'll be your best bet and obviously your safest option out there. But if you do need to travel, you're going to need some extra time out there. Please be very, very cautious and slow down. We'll take a look at the radar, what to expect with the accumulations as we go through the rest of the day here in your full forecast just a little bit. Guys?
All right, thank you, Jason. VDOT crews are working around the clock to clear the roads as best as they can. For the latest on their progress and what you can expect as you head out the door, we turn to Jason Bond, the spokesman for VDOT. Jason, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so what's the latest on your all's efforts? Where are you focusing most of your attention this morning?
Well, one of the most challenging areas for us has definitely been the New River Valley, where we've seen accumulating snow since early this morning. We have made progress in those areas, and the major roads are starting to clear up, but there are additional snow showers passing through, additional snowfall in the area, and recovering those routes. We are focusing our attention at this point on those major roads, interstates, and primary roads, and we've yet to get to those secondary routes.
Now, is there a timeline for when you guys may get to the secondary routes?
It depends on when the snow actually stops accumulating, when the winter storm has passed through our area and we can make progress on those major roads, and that's when we can turn our attention to those secondary roads and neighborhood streets.
Now, I know that your crews were unable to treat last night due to some of the rain. Is there any concern this morning?
Well, whenever we do have a winter weather event that starts out as rain, we are not able to pre-treat ahead of it because it will wash the brine off of that roadway. Now, drivers really won't notice much of a difference when we aren't able to pre-treat, but it does make it a little bit more challenging for us when we are plowing. It's easier to plow those roadways when we can pre-treat ahead of them because it does help slow down that ice and snow from forming on those roadways.
And what about folks who have to travel 77 or live through that area? What's it looking like for them?
Well, we have had some foggy conditions there on Interstate 77. That area is prone to frequent fog. We have had some snow showers passing through that area that have been reducing visibility, and we have seen some very heavy, quick, rapid snow showers pass through those areas, particularly along the 77 corridor this morning.
All right, any advice for travelers or folks who are shoveling snow today?
Well, certainly if you don't have to travel, it's a good day not to be out. It helps us if folks are not on those roadways. If you are shoveling snow in your area, it's best to shovel to the right as you're facing the roadway so that when our snowplows do pass through your area, we don't push as much snow back into your driveway.
All right, Jason Bond live on the phone for us this morning. Thank you. Continuing our coverage, meteorologist Clay Osterly is out in the Pinpoint Weather Tracker. He's taking a look at parts of the New River Valley, and really he's been traveling all across the region for us this morning. Clay, how are the roads?
Hey, good morning, guys. So right now we have pulled over and we are in Floyd at the moment. And what we've been doing is we've been traveling up and down Highway 221. Now, when we first got onto 221 in Salem and Roanoke, things were okay. Then we went up Bent Mountain, totally different story. The temperatures plummeted into the upper 20s. The snowfall rates got higher again and started snowing harder, and the road conditions went downhill. We started to see the roads covered in the snow. Now, right now, we're not moving at the moment, but I do want to show you outside the dash cam, and it doesn't look like it's snowing very heavily at the moment, but that's because the snow is just getting a little bit harder to see, but it is still snowing outside, and it's coming down pretty good. Let me raise you up here on the mast cam, or the tower cam here on top of the car. You can get a better idea of what the street's really looking like, and you can see that there is that layer of slush and snow that is on the roads. It's on the sidewalks as well. And again, this is in the town of Floyd right now. Now, we did just literally have a plow go by us, and they were scraping the road, and it looks like they threw a little bit of salt down as well. But at the moment, the snow continues to fall. One of the other things that I did want to bring up is the fact that, especially up on Bent Mountain, the wind was blowing pretty good, and at times it was actually blowing the snow over the road. So we did hit a couple of spots where the snow over the road was a little bit more elevated or enhanced than other spots. So that can really cause an issue too when you go from good road over to the snow and then back to good road. It causes problems with your traction. So again, be very careful this morning as you are heading out and about, and allow yourself a little bit of extra time to get on the road and get to where you're going safely. For now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
We're going to check in with Clay in just a bit. Boy, it looked like a ghost town over there in Floyd County. It did. It's pretty, yeah. Sophia Borelli, boy, is she bundled up braving the cold for us all morning long. Now, Sophia, I know we've been talking about building a snowman, how you were frigid, you've been bundled up. So at this point in time, can you still feel your fingers?
Good morning. I can feel them, but barely, guys. I got to tell you, it is very cold out here. The wind has picked up. It's died down a little bit. Right now, we're seeing just some of that slushy type snow that's falling to the ground. Earlier this morning, there were just these big white flakes, and now it's started to taper off a little bit. Still, the roads are looking definitely slick and definitely wet, so you really want to be careful out on the roads. I've been checking 581 here, and it looks like traffic has been moving smoothly but slowly, so just really make sure that you're taking your time out here if you do have to drive. There is that snow still sticking to the ground, and again, if you're going to be outside, make sure that you're bundled up, wear your gloves, hat, mittens, extra layers and all, because I will tell you that's been the most difficult thing I think out here is just being out in that cold wind and snow. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Communities with his fiberglass creations. But the life and times of Mark Klein is rarely told until now. It's where prehistoric times collide with modern day vaudeville. Mark Klein's imagination started running wild in the 4th grade and hasn't stopped since. He's been called the Barnum of the Blue Ridge. His larger-than-life creations globally recognized. He invited me in for a rare behind-the-scenes look into the wacky world of a man whose story has risen from rags to riches and even ruins.
Don't forget the bug spray.
He's the man in the hat.
This is my great aunt.
And it is different to have bugs hanging around in your town.
The Bug Man of Buena Vista.
He just showed up overnight. We were infested with them.
He's the most interesting showman of the Blue Ridge.
Yeah, that stegosaur poop, all right. You can tell by the berries. Oh, and they're edible, too.
Some say he's eccentric, among other things.
Art crazy. He's out there.
Sally Spiller will never forget the day Mark Klein walked into her 4th grade class. Almost immediately, she knew he was different, even separating him from other students.
For 45 years, I thought it was because I was stupid. You know, and she told me, no, Mark, that's not it.
While that stigma stuck for decades, Klein's comic creations were being molded, and soon his popularity took off.
I'm from Waynesboro, and it says, youngster uses fertile imagination in comic strip.
That fertile imagination grew virtually overnight. But when he turned 21, reality set in. Get a real job or build a handmade monster museum. Mark first went to Virginia Beach in 1982 with this crazy idea of building a handmade monster museum. He was basically laughed out of town. So with only $5 left to his name, Mark turned to conventional wisdom. From a palm reader, of course.
He said, if you stick with your dreams, these will come true bigger than you can ever imagine.
The man who labels himself a successful failure took that valuable advice and made a profound business decision.
I didn't have any money, but I wanted to get a glass of water. I looked at those placemats, and there was Natural Bridge and Front Royal. I circled both, flipped a coin, and I landed on Natural Bridge.
Wouldn't you know it, Natural Bridge embraced Mark's monster idea. And then Mark did what any kid would do without a dime to his name. He asked his parents for a loan.
If it wasn't for my parents, my dreams wouldn't come true. This would all disappear right now. I had to learn how to survive, so I became the entertainer. The class clown, if you will. So the class clown needed props. So I learned how to make props. They were expensive, so I had to make them out of whatever materials were available. And this is all fiberglass, but this was originally sculpted out of clay.
And from there, Mark's first museum was born and became a tourist hotspot. But in 2001, tragedy hit. Mark's art studio was set on fire.
All the paintings that I'd done, the films that I'd made, were all gone in a matter of 2 hours.
Then in 2012, the museum that was a monster hit for tourists also went up in flames.
Welcome to Dinosaur Kingdom 2.
And now dinosaurs reign supreme in Natural Bridge. Mark just put the finishing touches on his newest roadside attraction.
We get to feed the dinosaurs!
A maze of make-believe that suddenly comes alive right before your eyes.
Of don't mess with mama. Do not mess with mama. So I'm like almost like an emergency physician.
Right.
Sometimes I get called out because there are these fiberglass pieces all across the country, and nobody knows how to fix these things.
From big bugs on buildings to the land of the lost, it's safe to say some 5 decades later, that fertile imagination is still growing.
I knew he was creative, but I never knew he'd make this such a dramatic leap to all this wonderful stuff.
He's the showman who keeps the Blue Ridge wondering what will pop up next.
Nothing as humiliating as getting kicked in the rear end by clown shoes at the end of the day.